If there's one lesson I've taken to heart over years of watching UFC, it's that the first round starts much earlier, outside the cage, and Conor appears to be taking a beating in this one. Jorge Masvidal's gunning for a fight with the Notorious.
Alvarez getting loose, getting better here in this round, though.
Oh, man.
Until that.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
History has been made. Conor McGregor is the UFC lightweight champion.
He's going through all the paces, inciting the opponent, doing pressers, lobbying for a shot at 5 rounds with the Notorious. Recently, the Irishman's credentials have also come into question. The delays in his comeback were being taken as a fallback. So with the Irishman's career due for a reevaluation, I can't fault Jorge for taking his shot. The American threw his best at him. With the lack of response from the other end, it might even be suspected that Conor was scared, but mostly because Masvidal said so, and that's a doubtful report at best, since the Street Judas isn't doing so well himself, so his 3 losses in a row make him a desperate and dangerous challenger. The UFC veteran's been in the game long enough to know, you lose some, you win some. That's how the cycle goes. Otherwise, it's time to bow out. But neither Conor nor Jorge are ready to throw in the gloves just yet. Both are on a downhill slide in the cage. The Notorious is on a 2-loss roll that went way back to the neck crank dropped on him by Khabib. For Jorge, matters are dire and much more recent after his round 5 loss to Covington early last year. That was his last fight in the cage.
That was the only way to alleviate the pressure. Full mount.
Outside it though, he's continued to play mind games with McGregor. His fight with Covington also hit close to home. Both were former teammates who clashed as arch rivals. Jorge took it to round 5, but was defeated by an easy decision. It's not going to be as easy for Conor to shake him off though. Against Masvidal though, he appeared a bit rusty. Conor's game has been off lately. Literally off as in he hasn't been fighting. He's up for a drug review by the USADA, which will make him eligible for his next match. Naturally, he's a bit rough around the edges, particularly against the hungry contender with nothing to lose, as made clear by Jorge's adventurous UFC record of 12-9. In a couple of tweets aimed at the 38-year-old, Conor didn't seem to shine up to the standards he has set. Against Masvidal, he gave fewer mic drops and more mic flops. It might just be too early to tell, but one person has already predicted it, and it's Jorge himself. He's confident that Conor's ducking him for good because he's scared of him. A bit of a wild assumption, since there are plenty of reasons people choose to ignore someone. How about fighting Jorge's too much work for too little payoff? With McGregor looking for redemption, he's going to have his choice of comeback competitors. For now though, the grand reveal is complete. Dana White's latest announcement confirms the former 2-weight champ to a unique match against Michael Chandler.
But honestly, was a
It's less of a man-to-man than Jorge was anticipating, and more of a team-to-team, where both Conor and Chandler will each lead a team as head coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. As for the comeback fight itself, it's expected to take place after mid-August. The Chandler-Conor duo could also take it to the cage when the time comes. Who knows? Well, Jorge does know his stuff. You'll have to give him that. He's been a 2-time challenger, but Conor's a 2-time champion in 2 separate weight classes. It's a completely different league. In his bid to come back for a 3rd gold, the Notorious will likely fight the top brass. Punching up's the only way to go, especially after a leg injury that put him out of commission for quite a while. And so while Masvidal's verbal jabs were well researched and consisted of great mom jokes, unfortunately, he didn't get the response he wanted, but very few ever can with the Notorious, as he wrote the playbook for intimidating opponents, though those that did get under his skin left a lasting impression on him. Some might even call the impression one of being scared. Here's what Khabib called it. The fighter from Dagestan calls it like it is. So you can bet he stuck to his beliefs when asked about Conor's brush with the greats. The Eagle praised Conor's stance against Cowboy Cerrone, calling him a lion. Against stronger opponents though, the undefeated champion called the Irishman a scared chicken. Ouch! That's called killing 2 chickens with 1 stone. A chicken doesn't make for championship material in Khabib's eyes. A 2-timing chicken is even worse. He pretends to be strong, but avoids competition. Conor might be all of those things: lion, entertainer, businessman, and more. But Conor's a fighter first and foremost. The Irishman didn't make it this far with the promotion without putting in serious work and taking plenty of risks along the way. Things do change though. Fortune may favor the bold and brave, but when you're down on luck, it can take a toll on your confidence. Perhaps that's what Gaethje and Jorge both picked up on. Before Gamebred made his move to tap Conor for a fight, Gaethje called it. Unfortunately, he missed the chance to fight him, and it left no doubt for him that his opponent was too chicken to pull the trigger. Conor's confidence has certainly taken a lot of beating, aside from his publicized legal problems, loss of title, and long leg injury. He's also suffered 2 consecutive defeats from the same person, Dustin Poirier. Also, I guess it's the challenger's approach that counts. While Justin was determined to make his bout happen at all costs, even discounting payday as not top of my list, Jorge was already drawing up a cost and profit statement for the pay-per-view release of a completely hypothetical and one-sided fight at this point. It would be hilarious if the stakes weren't so high on both sides. This is why choosing the right challenger will be crucial. Jorge may have picked the man he wants to fight, but Conor's on pretty thin ice. His 22-6 record's taken some serious hits lately.
Alvarez getting loose, getting better here in this round, though.
Oh, man.
Until that.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
History has been made. Conor McGregor is the UFC lightweight champion.
His next fight will either even out the rough ends or damage his record further, coming right off a leg injury. Not to mention being out of the cage since 2021. Conor's next fight will likely be a strategic choice, not a scared choice. On the other hand, Gamebred has already made it clear he's coming to take the McGregor train right off the tracks. In such a position with a legacy on the line and a comeback in order, I wouldn't blame Conor for being scared. After all, it's good to be scared. Yeah, that's probably because he's got a lot to lose. Against a veteran like Jorge, a smooth comeback's the last thing to be expected, since Masvidal's own career is in demolition mode right now. After a couple of years out in the wilderness, it's a different cage that the Irish superstar will be returning to. His arch-rival Khabib retired, a friend turned foe in Artem Lobov, and Jorge Masvidal turned from a glorious win streak of 3 to dropping 3 consecutive fights. It's a bit like the back-to-school day after Conor's year-long summer break, and the 38-year-old challenger's the tough guy everyone warned you about. He's also taken it to 5 rounds against Kamaru Usman and Colby, losing by a decision, but giving it his all. His battles continue in court too, with his previous competitor alleging assault charges against the 38-year-old. I don't think that's Conor's cup of tea, not anymore. Plus, he's got a comeback to take care of. Call it scared or shooting bluffs, but I call it a pretty smart move on Mystic Mac's part to not take up Jorge on his offer. After all, there's only room for one major comeback in one match. See you in the next one.